and let us all do we can to build a better future.
Journalism is at risk right now here in America. In case all of you are not aware of the situation facing Matt Taibbi, but apparently Representative Stacey Plaskett is now threatening Matt Taibbi and those involved in the Twitter files with prison. What is going on? And this has to deal with Mehdi Hasan's uncorrected error. So, before we do, let's actually go ahead and pull up this article here. It's from Matt Taibbi, and I think all of us should be rightfully concerned. Wow. When I think this iteration of the Democratic Party can't seek any lower, it does. This is from Matt Taibbi. I learned yesterday Virgin Islands delegate and ranking member of the House Subcommittee on Weaponization of Government, Stacey Plaskett, is threatening me with prison over her own error. Just after I ran a piece called "The Press is Now Also the Police" about why the New York Times and the Washington Post boasting of their roles in delivering a leak suspect to the FBI. BSDNC, I mean MSNBC's new attack caster, Mehdi Hasan, got his wish, inspiring first Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and then Plaskett to trumpet his incredibly vicious and mistaken claim that I lied to Congress. The threatened penalty is 5 years in jail. So again, this is what he's going to have to be dealing with. Now, again, when you appeared before the House Judiciary Subcommittee on Weaponization, you told Congresswoman Stewart, what we see in the Twitter files is that the Twitter executives did not distinguish between DHS and CISA, and this group, EIP, for instance, we would see the communication that said from CISA escalated by EIP. Again, the above statements now seem to be contradicted by your own admission on April 6, 2023, when you appeared for an interview on the Mehdi Hasan show on BSDNC, I mean MSNBC. During the interview, Mr. Hasan pointed out that your March 9th tweet added the parenthetical A to the acronym CIS, changing the meaning of the term Center for Internet Security. Oh, so okay, again, not adding in the letter A. What the hell? So they want a very prompt response. That's from a sitting House representative. It would be one thing if I made a mistake in that case. Plaskett letters would merely be an outrageous attempt to intimidate a witness by threatening a charge of intentionally lying over the miscue. But that's not the case. I did, of course, make an error. But what Representative Plaskett is referencing is actually a mistake by Hasan, one she's now repeating. I'm not sure what to do, but to explain and show this as clearly as possible. So there you go. I want to pull up this article here by Li Feng. House Democrat threatens Twitter files journalists with prosecution and imprisonment. The backlash against journalists reporting on the Department of Homeland Security's reach into social media platforms took an ominous turn in recent days. In a letter I exclusively obtained from Representative Stacey Plaskett, Democrat from the Virgin Islands, falsely claimed that Twitter files journalist Matt Taibbi lied under oath in his congressional testimony, floating the possibility of criminal prosecution. Representative Plaskett, the same lawyer who described Taibbi as a so-called journalist during his March 9th testimony, also demanded sourcing information and asked that he detail his interactions with Elon Musk. Plaskett later claimed that Taibbi intentionally provided false information during his testimony, mentioned in the potential consequences of such actions under the federal perjury statute 18 USSC 1621, providing false information, and is punishable by up to 5 years imprisonment. The letter was swiftly condemned by press freedom organizations when reached for comment. It's disturbing that a member of Congress would attempt to threaten a journalist with imprisonment for summarizing his report during a congressional hearing, said Seth Stern, a director of advocacy with the Freedom of the Press Foundation. Gee, Representative, I thought you guys were all for protecting journalists and free speech, right? In a statement, it seems apparent that she had no good faith basis to threaten a perjury prosecution and that the threat is an intimidation tactic. Whatever one may think of Taibbi or his reporting on the Twitter files, basically threatening to imprison journalists is reprehensible, no matter if the threats are from the Democratic members of Congress or Donald Trump, noted Stern. The letter is shocking. The mistaken Matt Taibbi's tweet does not show that he knowingly lied to Congress, said Aaron Terr, director of public advocacy for the Foundation for Individual Rights and Expression. It's hard to think of anything more chilling to a free press than threatening a journalist with prison time based on a single corrected mistake in their reporting. Even people like Ryan Grimm have commented on this and said that this is wrong. And when that guy, Ryan Grimm of The Intercept, is even saying that this is wrong, and he was all on board with what Mehdi Hasan was saying about Matt Taibbi, even when he says that this is wrong, you know things are kind of a little scary. See, I said that this was going to happen, especially with the prosecution or the extradition of Julian Assange here to the United States. This is bad news all around. Again, you would think that the House Democrats would at least know just a little bit better, because they're acting like Donald Trump. So House Democrats have rallied in partisan opposition against journalists who have reported on revelations from Twitter's internal files. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that the entire oversight hearing about the HHS influence Department of Homeland Security into social media was based on these errors, citing BSDNC's Mehdi Hasan. The lawmaker called the hearing a waste of tons of public time and dollars. So although the letter came from Plaskett, it was a group effort that involves senior figures in the House Democratic caucus. Plaskett referenced the letter in an April 13th press release, but the link to the letter was intentionally broken. I reached out to her office for a copy this week and earlier today received a PDF with the file. Notably, after speaking to multiple officials in Plaskett's office, a response to my inquiry was finally sent not by her staff, but by Ernestine Dawson, an advisor to the House Democratic leadership, Representative Hakeem Jeffries. The metadata on the letter shows that it was authorized by Jeku Kalper, a lawyer in the House Judiciary Committee who works closely with the former House Judiciary Committee chair, Representative Jerry Nadler. The Federal Trade Commission also took the unusual step last month of demanding that Twitter identify all journalists involved in accessing company records, as the Wall Street Journal reported. Are you not? Is anyone not a little bit worried about this on the the madness of what we're diving into? Now, again, the Plaskett letter explicitly regurgitates the deceptive accusations made by MSNBC host Mehdi Hasan that I have thoroughly debunked on the other Substack, so please be sure to check out Lee Fang's Substack as well. The letter only cites one line of Taibbi's testimony, charging that the following is an example of perjury. Noting in the quote from Taibbi is remotely inaccurate. The context of the Taibbi quote is related to content moderation requests to Twitter from both an arm of the Department of Homeland Security, known as Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, or CISA, and the Election Integrity Partnership, a Stanford University-based NGO. Taibbi, in his remarks, said that the social media giant failed to distinguish between private sector and government demands for censorship. After this hostile interview with Taibbi on MSNBC, Hasan took to social media to allege that Taibbi conflated the Center for Internet Security, a nonprofit contracted by the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, to coordinate communications between stakeholder groups and social media with CISA, the arm of the DHS, Department of Homeland Security. So Hasan alleged that Taibbi had not only swapped CIS as CISA in his testimony before Congress, but had deliberately and under oath misrepresented the truth. Notice how they're doing a little twisty twist. Now, again, Taibbi has admitted mistaking CIS for CISA in a single tweet in one of his many threads, but his testimony to Congress was entirely different. Hasan deceptively conflated this quickly corrected tweet with Taibbi's testimony. Well done. Well done, Hasan. Mehdi Hasan. You just open up the Pandora's box for journalists now to be put on the chopping block, buddy. Well done. Yeah, big brain move there, MSNBC. This is the same Mehdi Hasan who likes to plagiarize, click, copy, and paste other people's work. That's something we talked about on a previous show of Hard Lens Media. Can't trust these scumbags. Can't trust these scumbags. So let's talk about what else is happening here. I want to pull up this tweet here. Be sure to check out Lee Fang's Substack. Here's again, Matt Taibbi, dear Mehdi Hasan. Here's the IP website saying it partnered with CISA. The CS site saying that the same thing. The award showing CIS is a DHS contractor. You're wrong on this, and you've convinced a politician to threaten me with jail as a result. This has gone too far. This is from Matt Taibbi's Twitter page. Going forward, I want to pull up this tweet here from Glenn Greenwald. Please look at this tweet and this thread. This repellent fake Congresswoman, Stacey Plaskett, took the BS lies from MSNBC and Mehdi on how Matt Taibbi confused acronyms when testifying before Congress and sent him a letter threatening him with prosecution and prison. Again, here's Li Fang. Again, be sure to check out his Twitter page and support his Substack as well. Now, I want to pull up this tweet here from System Update. Again, this is, the work of Glenn Greenwald. Does a lot of great work here. Check out this video.
The thing is, you know, they want to make money wherever they can. I feel like it's like half genuine ideological separation from the rest of the left, which they, I guess, somewhat were a part of. They certainly were a part of, and when I say they, I mean Glenn Greenwald and Matt Taibbi, and partially because there is some money to be made in that other direction.
Okay, so first of all, just this idea that someone like him is the gatekeeper of who's on the left and who's not. I don't care about these labels. I never have. I've never claimed any label other than civil libertarian or anti-authoritarian. I don't care who's on the left and who's on the right. It doesn't interest me at all. But the fact that somebody like him, who urges his followers to go and support people like Gavin Newsom and Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden, thinks he's the gatekeeper of who's a real leftist and who isn't, is laughable. It's what you do when you actually want to pursue material wealth. There's a very clear way that you do that. Everybody knows the easiest way to get rich in media and politics. It is not by doing what Matt Taibbi and I did. The easiest way to get rich in American politics is to attach yourself to the liberal left wing of the Democratic Party and constantly spout all sorts of claims in opposition to Donald Trump and the conservative movement. Go on air every day and say that Trump is a fascist, that Trump is beholden to Russia, that he's Putin's boyfriend. The way that everybody in media and politics have gotten rich over the last 6 years is by spouting left liberal tripe. So here, for example, is the top Substack performers, the people who make the most money on Substack. And there you see at the top, this is very recent, so it's after I left, the number one earner on Substack by far, by millions of dollars. She makes an estimated $5 million a year. I believe it's more now, based on my knowledge. She's been the richest and highest earner on Substack from the start, is a Boston College history professor named Heather Cox Richardson, who is the living, breathing embodiment of #resistance politics. Every single day, she goes onto this extremely lucrative Substack page and writes an article under the thinnest skies of academic scholarship in which she uses her history credentials to compare Trump to Hitler and Genghis Khan and, every authoritarian, tyrannical despot that has ever existed. She feeds these liberals, these left liberals, this whole narrative about Donald Trump and his movement, and that's all she does.
And that's the thing. A lot of these people won't even do what Glenn Greenwald or Matt Taibbi or Aaron Mate or Max Blumenthal. A lot of these people who are on this platform who are upset at the Twitter files, and people like Matt Taibbi, people who are upset at him, want to keep their gravy train going on. Now, I want to pull up this video here of also, again, it's a system update where Li Fang joins Glenn Greenwald to talk about the danger of what's happening with the Twitter files and what is possibly could happen to Matt Taibbi. Again, this is concerning to me. So let's go and pull up this video here.
We had you on, we had Michael Schellenberger on, we had Taibbi on twice, we had a couple of other Twitter files reporters. This is a very sweeping story showing countless examples of the U.S. security state influencing big tech companies, in particular Twitter, relentlessly to get material censored, even if Mehdi had not been completely erroneous in what he was saying. The idea that this debunked the entire reporting is lunacy, but let's look at that part of the interview that you just described, and then I want to ask you to kind of break it down on what your reporting showed about why Mehdi, everything he said here was false. Let's take a look at that part of the video.
The EIP was, let me finish the question, you can come back in. You also claim the EIP was partnered with the government Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, CISA, to censor Twitter, but you mix up CISA, CISA, a Homeland Security Agency, with the Center for Internet Security, the CIS, which is a non-profit. In fact, you added an A to CIS, I think people can see it there, in brackets, to make that false claim. It's just error after error, Matt, on just this one topic.
So Matt, I think like if you're confronted that way on live TV, being told without the documents in front of you that the staff at MSNBC has documented this error, I think Matt's kind of instinct was to say, yeah, look, maybe I got that wrong and I'll correct it. But in fact, your reporting showed that it was Matt who was correct and Mehdi who was wrong. How come?
Well, in this instance, yes, this was a mistake in one of hundreds of tweets, Twitter thread tweets. Matt did switch one of the acronyms and get it wrong. And Matt, after this, viral interview, corrected the record on Twitter. And
I think he went on. He went on and corrected it before it even aired. Once the interview was over.
Right. The same day he corrected it. After it was recorded and before it aired, he corrected it. But Mehdi went on further after this interview to post a video of Matt Taibbi, testifying before Congress about this issue and making the allegation that in addition to this mix-up, that Taibbi again mixed up this CIS with CISA while testifying before Congress. That's not true. There's several issues here. One, there's this claim that CIS, the Center for Internet Security, is just this private sector contractor that has nothing to do with the government. No, they were contracted by the Department of Homeland Security to run this partnership. They were working hand in glove with the Department of Homeland Security to help facilitate this kind of attempt at censoring certain types of political speech. But then even on that's kind of a basic misunderstanding that Mehdi doesn't have about how the federal government works. I mean, we all describe Edward Snowden as the NSA whistleblower, but he didn't actually work for the NSA. He worked for Booz Allen Hamilton. That's, we have private sector contractors that fulfill the basic functions of government, and that doesn't separate them from the government.
So I wanted to play this video. I didn't want to pause or keep on interjecting because I want you guys to hear what's being said in case you miss it or you want to check it out for yourself on social media as well. But again, Mehdi Hasan's little self-righteous crusade against Matt Taibbi is now backfiring in a gigantic way. Now, Matt Taibbi has done thorough reporting, and he has a clean record in regards to reporting on the facts, not backing down and speaking truth to power. The fact that you have a sitting congresswoman, someone in the Democratic Party of all parties, you would think, threatening now prison time to Matt Taibbi says a lot in regards towards the shift in which the Democratic Party is embracing going after people who are covering stories that make them feel uncomfortable. I mean, even to his own admission on the Joe Rogan show, Mark Zuckerberg said Facebook was doing the exact same thing as Twitter was. When I say that the censorship is all too real, we should all be legitimately concerned about it because that's how bad things are getting.
But even with that point aside, Mehdi just gets the facts wrong in terms of the congressional testimony. When Matt said that CISA, which is an arm of the Department of Homeland Security, he was accurate. And that's when I posted, and to show that he was accurate, I posted both videos and documents from the election integrity partnership showing that they admit that they worked hand in glove with the Department of Homeland Security. And I posted new emails that haven't been published before showing that, yes, it was the Department of Homeland Security elevating allegations of disinformation that were, originating from this election integrity partnership, this disinfo group, and forwarding them on to Twitter to say, hey, look, make sure you pay attention to this and make sure you delete these tweets or, shadow ban these accounts. So both in terms of describing how CIS worked functionally as an arm of the government, Mehdi was wrong. It was not just some, outside private sector organization. No, they were contracted by the Department of Homeland Security to carry out this task. And just getting the actual organizations and describing them accurately, Matt Taibbi was correct in his congressional testimony when saying that CISA was literally taking, requests from these disinfo groups and then forwarding them onto Twitter and saying, hey, delete these tweets. They were also doing that. It was both CISA and CIS. So Matt got nothing wrong, but in, I think, like maybe 6 or 7 tweets now, Mehdi has doubled down and continued to claim, even in the face of all the evidence that I published on my Substack yesterday, that no, Matt Taibbi lied before Congress. It's just not true.
Again, you would think establishment media would realize when they make a mistake, but they don't. I mean, again, it wasn't too long ago, way back in 2001, hell, even going back to 2003. Let's actually go to 2003, where all of corporate media said that there were WMDs in Iraq. Oh, wait, turns out there wasn't. Same thing with Russiagate. Same thing with every other story. Corporate media has gotten things wrong a lot of times. How can we forget when heavy hitter Don Lemon was doing a whole bunch of exclusive coverage on that airplane that disappeared and said, did a black hole appear over the ocean and that plane disappeared? Remember that? That's quality journalism from CNN. Same CNN that went broke with their little streaming service, CNN Plus. Alas, I can never have my dream job working at CNN Plus. Anyways, Mehdi Hasan, thank you for opening up Pandora's box, to which now all journalists could be potentially threatened by Congress now. See, again, the censorship of journalism, of free speech, of free press here in America is intensifying. And we should all be concerned.